Welcome back, everybody, to the Back Issue Book Club. We're back and better than ever. I'm Greg.
What did you say? What did you say?
Back Issue Book Club.
Before that?
Welcome back.
Everybody?
Oh, sorry. Welcome back, family.
Hey!
To the Back Issue Book Club. We're back, and now we're better than ever. I'm Greg. That's Rich. Rich, how are you?
Yes. I'm good. I'm very, very good. How are you doing?
Good. Yes.
Get all that stuff coughed out of you and everything?
Yes, for the most part.
Cool.
We read the 3-part series Spider-Man Death and Destiny from 2000.
Yep. Boy, 23 years ago, you think about it. Woo! Almost a quarter century ago since Y2K.
Ooh, I know. I was in 7th grade.
I was working.
Yeah. I was working on homework. So,
maybe if I worked on homework a little more when I was in 7th grade, I wouldn't be working so hard in 2000. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, as I was reading, I was realizing, I think this is the first story arc of Spider-Man that I've ever read. That's not true. I attempted to read Spider-Man from the very beginning, and I got through 20 issues.
Oh, the old Silver Age.
Starting Amazing Fantasy,
Yeah, those are tougher reads.
They are.
Yeah. It's just a style of writing back then.
Yeah.
I mean, you did read Spider-Man versus Wolverine.
Yes. And I was reminded.
A separate story. It's not a story arc, but.
Yeah, that's true. So that everything right there is all of the Spider-Man I've ever read. And I thought about it and I was like, man, that's lame of me.
Spider-Man is an interesting character because he always seems to fight to the level of his opponents. Like if he's fighting somebody who I swear I feel like I could beat up, Spider-Man raises the level just enough to make it an even fight. But then he could be fighting like Dr. Doom and come up with this amazing fight strategy or fight the Hulk.
I was going to say uppercut Hulk, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like the WWE where no matter who they fight, they're always evenly matched.
Yeah, it's got to be entertaining, right?
Exactly.
So that was a big revelation for me. And when you mentioned Spider-Man versus Wolverine, as you can see right there.
Yeah. Your birthday book.
It is. I was reminded of that story because I felt like Peter was very similar and very there's a lot of inner turmoil in Peter in these two stories at least. And this one picks up with Gwen Stacy's father having been killed by a chimney disintegrating and falling and collapsing. I think, right? It was a chimney?
Yes.
Or some rocks.
Doc Ock knocked the chimney down to try to crush a kid and Detective Captain Stacy pushed the kid out of the way just in time for him to get crushed.
Classic. So, this whole arc is Peter dealing with it, figuring out how to deal with it, and deal with being Spider-Man and his relationships on the ground with his schoolmates and stuff. So, what did you think?
I thought it was absolutely amazing.
All right.
No pun intended. I actually was wondering, is this a reprint of the original story? I had to go back and check. I wasn't reading the books back then when I was, 2.
Yeah.
But I had to go check the story synopsis of the 2 issues after the death of Captain Stacy. And one issue dealt with the public and J. Jonah Jameson, but for the most part, nothing is in depth. But the story arc was written in today's format, so it was enjoyable to me. But with so many actual references, it made me wonder if it was a reprint from the early 70s or late 60s or whichever it came out.
That's a nice balance.
It was, yeah. I mean, the talk with Flash about being having to ship off to Vietnam, and the people in the background calling them baby killers.
Yep.
And even just some of the artistry styles were very similar, but the text flow was perfect for today's style.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed Harry's hair was the tiger skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I haven't seen this in forever.
And I did notice in issue 2 out of the 3, there was definitely something that which made me say, this is written now, not back then. When Peter is talking about himself being, I'm not a vigilante. I'm not some pointy-eared vigilante with a cane.
I was going to bring that up.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's the Batman reference. They did not do that in the late 60s, early 70s.
He's not Batman. Yeah, I thought it was very not highbrow, sophisticated. The thoughts and how they dealt with Gwen being. I thought at one point they said Peter said Gwen knew that he was Spider-Man, but then later in the book,
no, I think that he said that there were only 2 people that he trusted with it.
Maybe I guess it was,
and I don't think Gwen was one of them.
Anyway,
yeah, I don't remember him saying that Gwen knew.
Okay,
but
well, there was a point where they were in the cemetery on a bench together, and he was like trying for the first time to like talk with her, and I was like, man, Spider-Man's in the cemetery a lot. Because he was in the cemetery in the Spider-Man versus Wolverine as well, and he punched a few less headstones, I guess, in this one. But
yeah,
I could feel the writer did a good job because I could feel Peter, like it felt authentic.
My only drawback from the way that they did it was that the thought bubbles, as you were talking. I love the font that it was in, by the way, very eerie. But the placement of them, occasionally I read them out of order. I'm like, do I go left to right or top to bottom? And
yeah, they were all over.
Yeah, and I would read something out of order and then read something else and it didn't make sense, and then have to reread it and go, oh, that's the way it went. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start to have so many bubbles, and some of them had like, I want to say it got up to like 8 or 10 maybe in some panels.
I was thinking 8 myself, yeah, when you said it.
So sometimes you run into that. And then you have a third type of bubble, like where it says just snap, where the camera is taking a picture in the middle of this panel.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, another one. So that's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know if in the book, in the original Death of Captain Stacy, if he told Peter that he knew who he was. I don't know that.
Yeah, we only know that he knew from this book, at least.
Yeah. I mean, again, I didn't read the original. I wouldn't mind, picking up a digital copy and reading it, or maybe even a reader of the original, and finding out. I mean, he was a detective. It would make sense. He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of funny that he said, take care of Gwen, but in the, Amazing Spider-Man movie with Garfield, he said, stay away from her.
Mm.
He said, because you're gonna get enemies, and they're gonna go after your family. Stay away from Gwen. And regardless of what Captain Stacy said, either way, Gwen was toast. So
maybe the writer felt that Captain Stacy understood that they were in love and that they would, inevitably be together. So he might as well charge him with taking care of her.
Well, I just wonder, again, I haven't read the original, so know how much of the script, how much of the information was transposed into these 3 Death and Destinies.
Yeah.
And how much was just creative freedom by the writers. Like, oh, they never said this, let's fill in the gaps, or he said this, let's make sure we include this.
Right. Is it a Filoni thing where you're giving color to the fog between times?
Yes.
Or not. Yeah.
A Filoni thing. There we go.
A Filoniism?
Yes. No, it's it's a new word in the dictionary. Thanks to the Star Wars universe.
I really got tired of J. Jonah Jameson.
You got tired of him after 3 issues. Try getting tired of him after 500.
I know. He is so irritating.
But the J.K. Simmons, though,
Oh.
you get to really appreciate him.
He's amazing.
Portraying that role.
Oh, he's one of those people that, like,
born to play it.
Yeah, and takes the character by the horns and it says, "I am this now," like Sam Jackson with
Fury.
Fury. Yeah,
Yeah.
And Tony Stark or Robert Downey.
Can't picture it. Nobody can play J. Jonah but Simmons. Nobody can play Iron Man Stark but Robert Downey. I don't think anybody can play Captain America except for Chris Evans.
John Walker.
No. I said Captain America.
He was Captain America.
No, he told everybody he was Captain America. He sure as hell was not Captain America.
Yeah, I mean, these names have been... Yeah.
Now, I've got to get you to read a lot more Spider-Man before you can make a decision on this, but do you have a preference as far as which actor has portrayed Spider-Man the best?
It's been so long since I saw the Tobey Maguire movies. I never saw the Andrew Garfield movies, and my default is Tom Holland, I guess.
Okay. I've read a lot of Spider-Man. I've watched all three, rewatched all three recently. I'm going to say that the best Peter Parker was Maguire, but I don't think he was a good Spider-Man. I think the best Spider-Man was Andrew Garfield. I didn't like him as Peter Parker. I think the best fusion of the two, neither one being perfect, was Holland.
Okay. So, see, he's okay. Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I'd like to see a movie where every unmasked scene was played by Tobey Maguire and every masked scene was played by Andrew Garfield. That would make me happy. Confused. I'm like, why does it keep growing?
He's a little thicker in this scene.
Yeah. He's not complaining about his back anymore. What happened?
All right. So this had the classic Doc Ock pudgy guy.
Yes. And also the original maniacal, I don't hide from anybody. I'm Dr. Octopus. I'll show him.
Yes, exactly. Francis, I don't hide. Ring the phone, ring the newspaper and let them know.
Send the telegram.
Beep, 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 beep. But I liked when Peter was just shit talking him left and right when they were fighting in the third issue. Mm-hmm. It was good. Sometimes I get irritated with how much he chit chats, but this was good. And I think it was because he felt. There was one point where he was like, "If you even think about touching her, I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa."
He wasn't with him at the time, but it was when he had just talked with Francis about trying to find out what the Stacy connection is, and in his mind went to Gwen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as he swung away from there after leaving the guy hanging upside down, he's like, if he even touches her, I'll kill him.
Right. And that was new for me to hear Spider-Man say those words.
Oh, really? Oh. Actually, I'm thinking of an issue that came out after 2000, but I think at some point, maybe not next week, but at some point, we should read the series where Kingpin finds out Spider-Man's identity.
Kingpin keeps finding out people's identities.
Dude, he's the Kingpin.
That's true.
Is that the Prince pin or the Jester pin?
The Jack
or
pin?
The Rook pin? That sounds naughty.
It does a little bit, yeah.
But, yeah, he does, and I don't want to give anything away, but the fight scene between Spider-Man, I'll just say Spider-Man and Kingpin at the end, I'll try to get the name of it and everything for you.
Okay.
Is, like, wow. Okay.
Is this Punisher, or I thought we were reading Spider-Man?
Kind of feels that way a little bit.
Oh, that's fun. I'm excited then.
Well, let's just say that in the issue,
Uh huh.
Kingpin tries to take out Peter Parker and misses and hits Aunt May.
Oh shit.
Uh-huh. So if you think that he was upset about Gwen being in trouble, how do you think he feels about the most beautiful woman in Queens?
Per this series, yeah. And it was, speaking of Aunt May, she said the exact same words that Captain Stacy said upon his death.
Yeah.
And that is really the tide that turned Peter to be like, "Oh, you idiot. You're thinking too much of yourself and not others."
It's amazing how many one-sentence speeches or two-sentence speeches from other people shape Peter Parker's life.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. Okay, so I'm just going to be a hero through guilt for the rest of my life. Thanks a lot, dude. Good parenting. So,
Well, he was an uncle. He didn't ask for any of this.
yeah. By the way, on a side note, I know that most of the world hated. What's the woman's name that was in No Way Home playing Aunt May?
It's not
From My Cousin Vinny. She won the best Oscar for that. Oh goodness,
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. They couldn't stand Marissa Tomei being Peter's aunt. Like, oh, she's too hot and she's too young. No, she's actually appropriate. If you think about it, your parents are one generation above you, which is generally about 20 to 25 years.
Yeah, I never.
Aunt May being like 80 years old to a 18-year-old Peter Parker in the beginning always bothered me. I'm like, being great aunt, great aunt. That's no way that's his parents' brother or sister. She looks ancient.
Yeah, I've always been like, well, all right, but she looks like another generation, grandma.
Yeah. And also kudos to Aunt May, though, because to somebody who looked like she was 80 years old in the 60s, that woman survived a long time.
Yes.
I'll have what she's having.
Yes. But for reference, Marissa Tomei is 58.
Yeah.
So,
and Holland was supposed to be 16, 17. He was still going to high school.
yeah. Yeah. So,
which is another thing I never understood. Why is he 16, 17 going to high school and he's that smart? Shouldn't he have skipped a couple of grades? Wouldn't he be like working on his PhD by 12?
yeah, but he doesn't have time because he misses papers here and there, which came up in this book.
Yeah, but he misses the papers because he was Spider-Man and he had other responsibilities. I mean, when he was 14, 13, 12, he should have been
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
skipping.
I don't know. I have nothing.
Look, he's still one of the best characters, though.
Yeah, I mean,
because he kind of represents the common person, which is why everybody was latched onto him.
yeah, especially for, comic book readers, which were typically younger, middle school.
Nerds, like, yeah.
No, just the age.
Oh, okay.
Like they could see themselves in him more than like a Captain America or something.
Or a Tony Stark.
Or Tony Stark, billionaire. Yeah, exactly. Oh, shoot. What was I going to say? Oh, the teacher. That was an interesting...
That was weird.
It didn't really go anywhere.
I'm wondering if that was a reference to something that goes somewhere back in the issues from the 60s/70s.
Because basically the teacher was like, you're late, Peter. I like to help. So, I mean, you can have a couple extra days to do your paper. So he does it. And he's like, you can call me whenever if you need to talk about anything. So then Peter calls him at like 2 a.m. one night after he like can't take it.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, thanks. And then just hangs up. I don't know. There was like no conversation.
Well, the teacher said, so where are you? And Peter, he was being as Spider-Man, called from some place where he just beat the heck out of some people trying to get information.
Yeah.
He's probably like, why did you ask me where I am?
Yeah,
but
that is weird.
That was also another way of knowing that was a modern written book, because when they wrote the book back in the 60s, they did not have LCD display caller identification location.
Yeah, but in some ways this shows that it's also 25 years old. because they had like regular roll film cameras, and I didn't see any cell phones or anything. So
Yeah.
it's stuck in the middle ground there. Let's
So
see.
rating the scale 1 to 10. Here we go.
Rating 1 to 10. I'll give it a 7.
I'll give it an 8.5. I actually got emotional in a few parts of this book, this series. Even though Mrs. Ohana was sitting to my right, so I did not let her see me tearing up. But
Oh,
I'm sorry. No, she'll. Are you crying? Shut up. I don't want her to have something to make fun of me with.
I got you. It's not that you're embarrassed. It's just that she'll poke and prod.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I see.
So.
Okay, fair.
I'm not going to give her the ammunition. So. But I really did enjoy the story. It was engrossing. It was a much faster read than it made time fly as I was going through it. So.
Which is a good thing.
Yep.
Good sign.
And I've always loved reading Spider-Man. It was a really good story.
Awesome. So. That's cool. We were lucky. We kind of just picked an arc out of thin air and we rolled with it, and it turned out to be good. So that's cool. Our next story arc that we're going to be taking on was chosen on suggested on our Patreon page, patreon.com/TeamOhana. Head over there if you want to join the family, become a Coco Nut, take part in polls and suggestions and all kinds of good stuff you've heard us say before. We're going to be reading the Born Again Daredevil story arc, which is from Daredevil 227 through 231. And this is apropos. I mean, we have Born Again coming up. It's been announced in the MCU, so
18 episodes. Yeah.
That's huge actually. That's a big order.
I think it's a little delayed, but still not terrible. I don't think we're going to have it by the end of 2023.
No.
Because I think Echo's has already been pushed off a little bit. It's a bit disappointing that the actors that played Foggy and Karen have not been re-signed to do this show.
Foggy especially, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, Karen kind of grew on me a bit too, especially in the Punisher series. But
don't get me wrong, I love her. I love her character and everything. But I was under the impression she wasn't. They made her way more in the show than she was in the books.
Well, we'd have to go back to early books back in the Silver Age of Daredevil to know.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, let's. I kind of like the retelling of 60s stories like Death and Destiny. If possible, unless it's something amazing, I want to stay away from 60s books.
Yeah.
I'll read one-offs, but definitely not a story arc. That's just that the writing style is just painful.
Yeah, the good stuff is like the Batman Joker book behind you and those kinds of one-shots.
Yeah. And that wasn't anywhere near what I thought it was going to be, but it was still entertaining.
Yeah. So there you go. Daredevil, Born Again. Yeah.
To be done by next week. That's our goal.
Yes.
I
got my reading engine going again today. I was reading some. I was catching up on some DC Dark Crisis. It was the event that happened recently. So my engine's going.
Chugga chugga.
Chugga. I think that's it.
Cool. I'm done also.
Okay.
Take us home, sir.
Well, family, don't forget to like and subscribe. Join us on the Patreon, as I said before.
For those of you following us on the podcast, thank you so much.
Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Leave 5 stars. Subscribe, rate.
Unless you could find a way of leaving a 6th. We would be like the first. It'd be cool.
That would be cool. We'd be trendsetters and pioneers. But thank you so much. Glad to be back. It's fun to have, some fun homework, I call it. And until we see you on the next one, mahalo.